Did you know we have the world's fastest hydraulic roller LS that has been on this lift?
I completely forgot about this thing.
Because I broke the lift. Matt, tell them how I broke the lift.
Well, first you tried to blame it on me, and I was like...
I did try to blame it on him.
Well, I guess I could have broke it, but I don't really think so. Then, turns out if you try to hold a Pro Mod inside the trailer with the pendant for the up and down, you're going to have a bad day.
The switch for the lift. Because he's using all these big turns. This got stuck on the Pro Mod when I yanked it out of the trailer. You'll have that sometimes, okay? You'll have that sometimes. But we have officially retired the black sheep. We're saying goodbye to it once and for all. I have to do this video. I quit last week. I put my 2-week notice in. I have a video of what all is going on. But yeah, we're saying goodbye to the black sheep. It was a good run. It was fun. Badass car. What do you have to say about it?
How many passes?
330 on this motor.
How many passes do you think you've made in this car?
Oh, probably
Over 1,000.
No, probably 500 passes. You got to think before we started racing together, I would just go and make one pass. Like I would literally go there. If I could not break anything, I'd be great. Let alone winning. But we have some. Yeah, I mean, it's just a sad time to see it go. But that's part of liquidating everything, you know. So smoking deal. I sold this guy here turnkey 25,000. So we're gonna pull the motor out and freshen it up for the new owner, and yeah, they're whooping ass with someone else.
That's how it goes.
That's how it goes. So we're gonna get it out because you guys haven't seen this in a while. All right, so in this video, what we're gonna do is we're gonna get the black sheep in the shop. We're going to pull the motor out of it, and we're gonna tear down the motor, which should honestly, like, if we hustle, we can pull the motor out in probably half hour, 45 minutes. Tear the motor down in like another half hour, 45 minutes. So you could have 2 hours in this thing, really, and have it all tore apart. But I don't think a lot of you guys understand when it comes to racing, you know, obviously we like to have stuff that's nice and works good, and, you know, we like the nicer stuff. We like to keep it shiny and polished. But when push up comes to shove, when it's time to race, you know, it took a while to understand, but, you know, I view this car as a tool. It's a tool. We're there to race. We're there to win. If it's like, hey, you know, we have to kind of like make something look ugly and maybe not be the prettiest, but we're going to make it go down track.
The saying, chrome don't get you home, it's very true to the race car. Like, there's a lot of race cars that I see that are absolutely stunning, but they don't always win the race. They win very few races.
Yeah, so obviously we try to make them look good, but this thing here, if you think about it, 330 passes just on this engine. And a lot of people ask me, they're like, hey man, you put bearings in it or nothing? Like, no, 330 passes on these bearings.
We didn't pull the valve covers off for like
over 200. I think 250 passes we didn't have the valve covers off of it. Then we switched to the solid roller. So now it's still on the black sheep camshaft, just solid roller, and really we haven't messed with it. We check the valves before we leave for a race. But it probably would be fine, but I ran it one time pretty much on water instead of oil. So on a methanol car, you get a lot of moisture and methanol, water in the oil. You need to stay on top of it. We got an oil pan heater right here. You plug that up, get the oil nice and hot. It serves multiple purposes. You don't want to run these cars cold. You want everything to be warm and up to operating temp. And
especially at first pass.
Some people are like, oh, they're all over turbo bolt, like, oh, what do you need to do? And they're measuring this and that. You go fire up your 50cc dirt bike ice cold and you rev it to the moon, and it doesn't have aluminum rod in it. You tell me how many times you could do that before it slings the rod out. I mean, how many times I send Matt videos all the time because he gets on me for cold revving it. I'll rev it a little bit. You guys out there with the damn lawnmowers and ice cold to the moon slings the rod out. So I don't know. If it's your stuff, you do whatever you want. This is what we've done, and we have the data. I mean, it seems to work. I mean, we have over 300 passes on an aluminum rod motor. Always get everything up to operating temp. When we get done with the race, we bake the oil. I actually went, I think it was like 70 passes without changing the oil. We were on that Schaefer's oil, and the oil got so milky it started showing low oil pressure just on crank up. Generally, you crank it up, it's like bang, 80 pounds of oil pressure. I'd fire it up and go to like 35, 45, 55, 65, build all the way up to 80. I said something to Matt.
Trying to find some oil in there somewhere.
It was getting rid of all the water. So maybe I caused the old pressure stuff not to be as good. I mean, the old pressure's still good, but I mean, you gotta think a lot of nice parts on this deal.
Oh yeah, if it hangs a rod out, it's gonna be a very expensive.
Yeah. So a set of bearing and rods, you know, you're in $2,000 or less. So we're gonna get it out. This motor owes us nothing. You guys can buy this exact engine. That's a Black Sheep Stage 3 engine. Dart heads, dart block.
Oh, we can still put these rods in something else.
Yeah. I don't know. I'll keep my spares. You know, there's nothing wrong with them.
Yeah. No.
So we'll have a set of spares.
I've never sent back an aluminum rod where they said, "Good thing you changed it." Every time I ever send it back, have them check it. Oh yeah, it looks good. So I run Bill Miller stuff. You know, MGP, GRP, they're all good. No issues with any of them. But a lot of the myths you hear with aluminum rods are just that they're myths. So.
I think it's so funny. All these guys post up on Turbo Bullet all the time talking about, oh, aluminum rod this.
Oh, you can't drive it on the street. You can't do this. You can't do that.
And they honestly have no idea. But worse than having no idea, they have no real world experience with them.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's the internet though. So you'll have that sometimes. We're gonna make some upgrades, fix some things too. So, you know, we gotta make sure the new owner's happy with it.
Yeah.
That's turbo. Want to air that tire up first? Alright, this is good now. Ruben is racing.
God, look how tucked the front end. If you ain't tucking rim, dude, I don't want it.
Forget how tough that thing looks.
Yeah.
He's been in the trailer since the arm drop.
Yeah, it's been months.
Neglected.
Do you have any opposition against that?
No, not really.
The last hurrah. This thing's been in the trailer for how many months? You think it's dead?
I don't know. See. Oh, it's a little low. A little low there.
I think it's got enough in it.
God, literally. Literally. Matt, tell them how much maintenance it requires to run a methanol car.
You race it, you put it in the trailer, and you go race it again.
No, you missed the most important thing. You build it right.
Oh yeah, you go through and you build them right, rebuild them, do whatever. And there's some updates we're gonna make.
For the new owner.
Yeah, for the new owner. We always want to make sure, you know, whatever's getting. Dude, you need to put a brace on the steering shaft. That thing moves so much when you're turning it.
Is that what you were looking at?
Yeah. Put some new valve covers on it. He's got some cracks.
Yeah, there's two sitting in the trailer ready to rock and roll.
Yeah, TK Performance, get your LS valve covers up there. You can get them with the breathers in them.
Yeah.
We're going to redo the exhaust to the bullhorn just because we're going to do it out of 11 gauge. That is just the standard, what's that, 16 gauge?
Yeah.
And the 16 gauge, it's okay, but like...
The weight difference, the weight that you gain by going 11 gauge is definitely worth the reliability of it, because the 16 gauge stuff will crack just no matter what. And we're going to do a really... I wish we had a plasma table. Yeah. We could do a cool bracket to help support it. I think it'll be next level. We're going to be doing all kinds of stuff. Alright, we'll go in here.
Well, we're going to eat first, then we're going to tear this sucker down. I'm going to clean that silver cart off. That's going to be the black sheep cart. We're going to tear it down and go from there. Guys, if you guys are interested in this turbo, it is a Gangster 98 forced inductions turbo. Not the No Time 98, not the GTR 98, not the GTS 98. This is the Gangster 98.
GA 98.
Yeah, this thing here is not your average run of the mill 98. So yeah, there you go. So if you guys are interested in this, you guys can hit me up. We don't have too many passes on this.
No, not at all.
It runs good. We've been 180 miles an hour with it at LDR weight.
You changing turbo?
Hmm?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, this is news
Yeah, I'm working something out here. We're gonna go to
for the new owner.
We're gonna go to a max speeding rod turbo.
Oh my god, we're done with this. Cut it.
All right, guys. So we got the Black Sheep up on the Projects. It's been a while. I've been messing with the streetcar stuff. Haven't had to lug the Projects out here in a while. So we're gonna do a simple teardown. We're gonna get all tore apart. I'm selling this turbo here. If you guys want it, Matt, what do you think? Name the price. Name the price. Name the price.
$5 grand.
$5,000. This sucker right here has been
that thing's been some numbers.
412, 180 mile an hour on a cast block cast head LS. There's nothing wrong with it. The wheel on it's like perfect. It's ready to go, and peel your muffin cap back blue. So if you guys want it, hit me up. We'll stick it in a box. We'll ship it out.
That is the one where you just call me like, hey, I want the 98.
You know, you can't like, most of you normal people can't get this.
You gotta be a badass to get
Yeah, so.
Most of you normal people can't afford it.
Yeah, oh
Dang.
God.
Dang.
Alright, so we're going to do a simple teardown on this thing. Matt's going to work on some other stuff because we don't need Matt to tear stuff down. We're going to use Matt's skills in other places. So we'll get this out of here. Yeah, Matt likes to tear him up, not down. He's captain of the rut over there. So it's pretty simple. We'll get some camera set up, do a time lapse. Exhaust comes out, charge pipe comes out, turbo comes off, hot side comes off, headers come off. I'm going to try to keep everything nice, neat, and organized. We'll get the motor on a stand and then we'll tear it down. Something like this, you know, we work closely with TKM. This is one of their engine packages, and we know what it's supposed to look like. They know what it's supposed to look like. Hopefully we got no issues. We bring it up there. New rods, new bearings. I'm excited to see what this thing looks like.
See, I know.
Hammer that thing
I'm
off.
just messing with it, but 95% of the other people will just be like,
Hammer it off.
I'm excited to see what this thing looks like. 300 plus passes. I think a lot of people are excited to see what it looks like. So we'll get it out, torn down.
looks like a motor.
Yeah, it's probably going to look like an engine inside there. So we shall begin. Ready to take it out. Bell housing bolts, motor plate bolts. Motor comes out. Been working on it. What do you guys think? An hour? An hour? Kinda. I got my tail whooped by the converter bolts. I got the ratchet stuck in between the bell housing, or between the converter and the back of the motor. So you'll have that sometimes. So we got all that stuff done. Good thing about this, the headers come off with it. The fuel pump, oil pump drive comes off with it, so we can take all the stuff off outside of the car. Wiring harness is kind of all pulled back. Matt redid the wiring harness on this, so we have very nice, compact, clean wiring harness. Everything's good there. God, look at this damn turbo scavenge.
Oh yeah.
Oh, brother. Brother. We're going to redo the turbo scavenge. Now that we've got the Brown & Miller stuff here, we're going to Brown & Miller out this thing, and then just make a couple upgrades where we see it could be useful. So I guess we'll pull the motor out and get it on a stand, and then that is 330 passes in the black sheep motor. Done. That's it. So it's lived a good life thus far. It really owes us nothing. So hopefully we can do another. What do you think, Matt? Next one we'll go 400 passes.
I think we're just street driving it. We'll just drive it to the track.
Now you're talking.
What is 330 times to see how many miles to calculate it, right? Yeah, I know, it's a lot. Here, Matt's doing the math. 330. How many miles of wide open throttle?
It's 217,000 feet. Divided by 5,200. So 41 miles.
41 miles. 41 miles of wide open.
That's pretty well.
2,500 plus horsepower. And then you guys are like, oh, you're revving it. You're going to hurt the motor revving it. Think about that.
Okay, so we're doing
Get in your street car and hold it wide open for 41 miles and see what happens.
Yeah, and the throttle whacking into the burnout when everyone's like, oh, you're going to hurt it.
We can go 41 miles in a little over 4 minutes.
Dude, we're rolling.
That's good.
See how fast your street car can do that.
So for everyone that's like, oh, you're going to wear it out. Where are these nuts?
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
No, I mean, I guess this speaks volumes to the Black Sheep engine package. I mean, the fact that you can get one of these. We have a stage 1 version in Hank, which you guys saw. We got a stage 2 version in that. Got a stage 3 version in this. The fact that someone can, Matt could probably agree with this. The fact that someone can just call up TCAM and say, hey, I want that. Put it in a 2,700 pound car. They'll sell you the turbo. They'll sell you the tune-up and everything you need with it, all the tuning and everything. Put it in there and you could have this exact power train combo. How terrifying is that? Joe Schmo down the road, never been in a race car before, gets his commission, pow, pokes his eye clean out, eye patch, rest of his life. I mean, that could happen. If you guys hurt your eye, you guys can go see my man Chris. He'll get you right. That's like it works, you get the engine package. If you poke your eye out, you go see Chris. We'll keep you seeing. Full circle around here. We cover all of your bases too, and ours. As here we are. The Black Sheep engine is out in all of its glory. We're about to tear it down. It came out pretty easy. Really no issues, anything like that. Just pulling the motor out. There are some things we're going to address going forward. I guess when we rewired it, it was kind of like, hey, let's rewire it, knowing that there's some things that we'd like to fix, some ways that we're going to route some lines and everything. Now that we've got the Brown & Miller stuff here where we can crimp and make all of our custom lines, be a piece of cake to really change up. One, be safer. 2, look a whole lot better.
Yep. Less lines, less weight, little leaks. We're gonna put a clear view on it. That way we can see the oil as it's running. That way we can tell. But I mean, the one thing when John was talking about whenever it had all the water in there, if we had known that there was that much water in there, probably would have changed it. But if it's sealed up and it's not leaking and you're just running it, you don't really know. So the clear view really allows to see the quality of the oil. Because a lot of guys, street car guys, are like, well, just check the oil. All these race motors, they don't have a dipstick. So there's no checking the oil in it like that. So by allowing the clear view, you can see bearing material if you have a issue like we had on the red car, or
which the clear view was the reason why we knew there was an issue.
Yeah, if we didn't have the clear view on it and we never cut the filter apart, we would have just put it back together. And it's one of those things, you can clean the clear view out with some brake clean at the track, where we've been sometimes, we try to keep a pretty good stock of oil filters, but every once in a while you get caught where it's like you don't have an oil filter. So do that, reroute it. Every time we work on it, I feel like we try to improve it and always take steps forward. We see what's working, what's not working, what we'd like to change, and then we make those changes.
So I guess now we're going to tear it down, rip the front cover off, balancer, pop the heads off, knock the pistons out of it. Pretty run-of-the-mill. And LS tear down, I mean, nothing. You tear this down just like you do an LS junkyard motor right there. So,
yeah, just a couple extra head studs.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. It's crazy that block right there, not very different from this. This thing's making big power.
Yeah.
So, and it sounds good too. It's got the sound. I like the sound. Yeah. Honestly, you can't even tell the difference. See, that when you clean it up, we just power wash that. Probably sell it to someone on Turbo Bull. It's called Black Sheep Stage 5, and they won't even know.
Yeah, these blocks are a little bit. These are fully skirted, and they don't have the cross bolt mains. Those do, but the fully skirted design. This is more of a small block Chevy-ish motor than, it's kind of a combination.
The Gen 1 LS.
Yeah, Gen 1 LS.
So. Badass oil pan though. Williams Fab, check them out.
Yeah, no, great oil pans. Great oil pans.
Alright guys, Lifter Daddy is here. As you can see, it's my third one. He'll hold up like a fish like you just am. These are our Isky Redline solid LS lifters, 904 lifters. They're very challenging. Come look at this window. Oh! No, I'm just kidding. I'll shove it back in there. They're a pain in the ass to get out of the little window that they have. As you can see, they're quite large. What's the benefit to go with the 904, Matt?
Larger diameter, more stable, larger roller, just bigger everywhere.
So we had the 904 Johnsons in there when we set the hydraulic roller record, which is a hydraulic lifter. Same cam, we just switched over to the solid lifter, doing some R&D on the cam, seeing if the cam picks up any. I think it's a little bit more, would you say it's a little bit more consistent? I mean, I don't know. I mean, the cam is good. I think it runs the same with the hydraulic and the solid lifter. But getting them out, it's a pain in the ass. Damn, Matt's catching up.
Well, John also has to remember, I have one hand that has about half the dexterity.
Oh
So over here talking about beating a cripple.
It's my talent. I don't know. You guys got lifters that you can't get out at home. I would do better, but I burnt the shit out of my pinky because Matt didn't tell me he just welded something. So.
Usually if you're welding on it, it's hot.
I didn't know he was welding on it. It's my pinky. Essentially, I'm crippled now. We even playing field.
Oh, yeah.
You're not gonna get these last two out?
I'm just handicapped. John's mentally handicapped.
Ooh.
Marcus, come put your big ass hand in here and see if you can get one out. So look at this. We think that we have the fastest LS timing chain car in the world. Isn't that another record we're going for?
Yeah.
The micro records.
Because everyone else puts a belt drive on it. We're over here, chain gang. You know, it ain't easy being as gangster as us with chains and hydraulic lifters and shit. Any smack you want to talk? Now's your chance.
No jet turbine engine. Gold motor film.
All right, guys, we got the heads off. This is what it looks like. 300 passes on a motor here. I'll have Matt explain to you what you're looking at, what some marks on the piston are, what everything is, just so you guys have a little bit of an understanding.
Alright, so here's the cylinder and here's the piston. It goes up and down, goes down. So if you guys can see, like, here, we'll look at this one real quick. A little bit of mark on the piston right there. That's where it contacted the combustion chamber. So, you know, if it's over revved or, you know, skip shift or something like that, sometimes it can stretch. So when you're building a motor, you have what's called your quench. That's the area between the face of the piston and the bottom of the combustion chamber. Not your combustion chamber area, but the bottom of the head where the combustion chamber is. So like in this flat part of the area. So like right here, you can see the witness mark where the piston's been hitting it. So if you build a motor with zero quench, that means the piston would touch this whenever it came up and down. So as the pistons travel up and down, you have rod stretch. Steel rod stretches, you know, typically less than an aluminum rod. An aluminum rod motor, I usually like to run no less than 70 thousandths quench. So like if you have a zero deck motor, that means the piston is zero deck at the top travel of the crank. If your gasket's 50 thousandths, you have 50 thousandths quench. If your gasket's 70 thousandths, you have 70 thousandths quench. I usually build all my motors anywhere from 30 to 50 in the hole, and then I'll run a 50 gasket. So I run around 100 thousandths quench. And a lot of people say like, oh, you can't do it, it won't make no power, and set up several motors and make great power. MK Ultra set up like that. MK Ultra's got like 140 thousandths quench. A lot of people say you need the quench to have a swirl effect in here to help burn all the mixture. So it helps burn all the mixture inside the combustion chamber. But you gotta think, when that turbo's blowing air in there, it don't really need to have no kind of swirling going around. It'll burn everything just fine. So I like to run them a little bit more, that way you don't have to worry about any kind of quench issues, like the rod stretches a little bit, smacks the top of it. Now you get some of the NA stuff, and I built some of those, you get like 30 thousandths quench, and the whole entire combustion chamber will have a mark from the piston when you're really running it hard. So far we took it apart, we didn't find anything that's, you know, real bad. All the combustion chamber looks good. It's not trying to burn through into any cylinders. We're going to send all this stuff to Kevin, have him check it. You know, we're going to go over it, check the heads. Hopefully the heads won't have to be decked or anything. You know, it should be pretty good. And take the bottom end apart tomorrow, check all the rods. We're going to go grab an engraver and engrave everything that we know exactly what cylinder it came out of. And when we go back together, we'll be able to tell exactly where to put it.
The goal is to reuse the same pistons.
Yeah, goal is to reuse the same pistons. We're going to do new rings. We need to check the piston to wall clearance and see if the piston to wall clearance is good. Then we'll do new rings with a very light hone just to touch up the cylinders. If the cylinders need a lot of work and then the piston to wall is too much, you know, we don't need to. I've ran, you know, some pretty large piston to wall clearance. It's okay, but try to keep that in check if possible. We want to stay away from having to do any kind of skirt coating or anything, because that stuff usually just comes off the piston and it ends up in the oil pan and gets sucked up in the oil pump. So far everything's looked good. We haven't found any issues, which we didn't really think we were going to because the thing was running good. So I think we'll take the rest of it apart tomorrow and get all this up to TK and let them do some machine work, and then we'll put it back together.
Alright guys, we have the heads all taken apart, sorry, the heads off, head studs out, everything looks good. If you look in here, this is what the Black Sheep Stage 3 looks like. We got our dart block, we got MGP rods, we got a Callie's Ultra Billet center counterweighted crankshaft, and then some very beefy pistons. So really nothing to see here. We're just going to tear it all the way down. Everything looks good. You want to pop one cap off real quick and see what the bearing looks like, so we can show them what the bearing with 300 some passes looks like.
We'll jerk the cam out and then.
Okay, so we'll do that. We'll get the cam out real quick. There is a few little marks on here from when we had a lifter failure. But other than that, I mean, that stuff was there before. I mean, as you can see, just a couple marks on a piston, and that's it. So, I mean, for how many passes are on this thing, I'd say it looks just like it should. Good as new.
That's what the bearings look like.
$330 passes. Yeah, that bearing looks good too. They all look good. All the bearings look good. Very. You know what? Forget it. Let's just put it back together. Let's just keep going. Here, try this guy. I like the wooden one better. You know, it's classic. It's like a timepiece.
I like the narrow one that'll fit in between. Here, grab it. Ready?
Yep. There's some wear on there. But for 300 passes?
Nothing. Schaefer's oil doing work.
Yeah, literally. Looking good. I mean, for going 41 miles at wide open throttle, no complaints.
Yeah, pistons are looking.
Got no complaints. Everything looks good, don't it?
Yep. Boy, that thing is hammered.
Yeah, but it's ready for more. You know what I'm saying? It's saying, give me more.
Know what I'm saying? Alright guys, so we pulled it apart. We really didn't think we had any issues. We pulled the number 2 off, and this is the worst bearing out of them all, which is not even bad at all. You can still see the marks where we checked the bearing for the bearing clearances with the dial bore gauge. So, I mean, over 300 passes, majority of it, you know, some of them running on water. I mean, this thing, we drain, how much did we drain out of it? 16 quarts?
Oh, it was like
Two drain pans,
Yeah, like 2.5.
eight quarts drain pans. So the engine, we usually run 8.5 quarts in it, so it had 8 quarts of methanol and water in it. Here it is. So that's a real good testament to the Schaefer's oil. It's killer oil. You know, you guys, you spend $30,000-$40,000 on a motor, and then you go run Rotella in it or some other cheap oil, and try to save a little bit, and then your bearings are trash, and then, you know, it can cost you a lot more. The Schaefer stuff really not that expensive, but I've seen people, I've heard about people, their oil pump belt coming off, and then them still running it, no oil pressure, and the motor surviving. So it's a real testament to what it's capable of, you know, doing. So switch over, you won't regret it. This thing looks good. I think what we're going to do is we're just going to hone it, check cylinders out, flip it over, look at those, the mains and everything, check those out. New rods, new rings, toss it back together. I mean, honestly, if it wasn't for like breaking a rod because it's got so many passes, I don't know how long you could run them. I'd be curious to send one of those off and just be like, hey, what do you think about this?
Let's take them in another motor.
Yeah, we'll stick them in another motor and torture test. We'll go 600 passes on them. But yeah, and it's not like this thing had an easy life. I mean, we made a lot of passes making well over 2,500 horsepower. So this thing, you know, I would be, after seeing it, we could.
I'd be okay if we said, hey, we need to put it back together and make a race. I'd feel comfortable going, putting it back together.
Oh yeah, easily, no problem at all. So we'll get this thing up to TK Emblem, do some machine work. We'll get it back. We'll toss it back together and go racing again. Make some upgrades, change some stuff. Like I said, every time we take it apart, we want to put it back together better. So we're gonna move some stuff around, do some new lines. We got the Brown and Miller stuff, so that'll be really nice. Had a few little oil leaks here and there. We want to get that. I really like having a really clean race car. I can't stand a race car that's dripping oil or anything. So we'll go through and redo all that, and then what? Race it. So, LDR. Make some changes for LDR.
Yeah, we're no longer going to be running on 28.
Yeah.
Come back out.
We're going to be on a bigger tire. Have some stuff done with the rear suspension.
So this is any guys that run just the 28 stuff, you're safe from the black sheep. We're going to switch over to run strictly LDR 30-inch tall tire, and try to be as badass as we can for the weight.
Let's just come to win, and then I'll have a tire roll.
Do they have a tire rule? Does it come to win on 28 or just come to win?
I think it's just come to win.
Wow.